Good morning. Yes, we were thinking last week as we looked back on the whole book of Genesis that we've been going through one part at a time, and the stories of Genesis about what lessons we could actually learn from them. And we saw that man had in fact rebelled against God, but God already knew this was going to happen. He already knew it, and he has taken account. God's plan cannot be thwarted. It cannot be destroyed. He will do it his way, and it will come about. We have to look at the world in which we are living and know that his plan is coming to completion. It is even now drawing to the close. He is preparing to come back into his creation and, in fact, correct all those things which are wrong. Many people think that in this battle in the heavens where Lucifer rebelled against God, that somehow we have God on one side and Lucifer on the other, and there's a great big battle going on. But in fact, God could control Lucifer whenever he wants to control him. If you look at the book of Revelation, for instance, right at the end time, it isn't Jesus who has returned who deals with Lucifer, or Satan as he's known. It's not God who does it. He just sends an angel with enough power to bind him and get rid of him. But in the meantime, for reasons beyond our understanding, this battle still rages, and somehow we are involved in this battle in all that is going on in our lives. We saw the fact that this Lucifer, in this great cosmic battle, decided to try to contaminate the human race, and allowed some of his angelic beings to enter into this creation and create a hybrid form of human being, what he called the Nephilim. And although God had to destroy the world in order to wipe out this particular contamination, it seems that in fact the contamination is still going on. Because when Moses was alive, he was reported to him by the spies before they entered the promised land. They said, the Nephilim are amongst them again. They were called giants, but they're not necessarily physically giants, but they're very powerful people. Some were, in fact, great strength, people like Goliath and things. These too were part of this, and great beings in this form. But in the end, it was something perhaps to do with the mind or something to do with their talents. The enemy just wanted to contaminate that which God was doing. And we talk about the flood. People say, did it really take place? Well, God tells us it took place. And remember, people like Noah were living for a long time afterwards. These weren't people who just lived far in the past. As I said to you, Noah could very well have been alive even when Abram was born. And as for his son Seth, he was probably still alive even when Isaac was born. These are people who are alive even at that time, telling us what has happened and why it had happened. So we've looked at this book of Genesis, and the one thing that has come out of it over and over again is that God has a plan. And that's the important thing that we have to get hold of. God has a plan, and somehow we are fitting in with that plan. And his plan is that he's going to bring many sons to maturity, and he's going to fill us with his own being. We are going to become like him. We're going to be able to be like him. God decides he wants children, and children is one day what he's going to get. See, as we looked at Genesis, in a sense, we had to keep looking forward all the time as well to seeing how God's promises were working out. Because very often people said, why have we come here? What are we doing here? What's happened here? We don't know. God's like the great chess master. He already saw the fall of man before he created him. He already knew, even before the first words of creation were spoken, that one day he himself would have to enter into his own creation and suffer and die on the cross. But even as he knows that, he also shows human beings what is coming, and he trains them for it. He trains them for it with the whole idea of sacrifice, and he trains them for it, even as he shows Abraham taking his son Isaac up on the mountain, and then his hand being stayed, and him taking a ram with his head caught in thorns. All of these things are just there to teach us and show us that in fact God is in charge and God is in control. That's the one thing you must get from it. God is truly in charge and God is in control. You see, you might say to yourself, and I think that's what a lot of us do say. We say, if I was God, I wouldn't do it that way. But you're not God, and I'm not God. And God knows better than any of us what is right and what is proper and what is correct for us at any particular time. I've been a parent, and I've seen children grow up. And in those early years, they had to be disciplined. They had to be told when they got to a curb, they did not step onto the road. Because if they stepped onto the road, I would give them a smack for it, because they disobeyed me. That smack could have saved their lives. But now, of course, they're adults, these children of mine. And I don't follow them around because now they understand why they should not step onto the road. They understand the dangers of traffic. But in these early days, God gives us rules and regulations to try to show us how we should work. And in Genesis, that's what we've been looking at. Listen to these videos again if you want to. Think about them again, because these are your foundations. It is on these foundations that our whole faith is going to be built. Amen.